Election time in the US. It's the time of the year when you just want to lay back, grab your popcorn, and be extremely entertained by ads like these.
Hey, Utah District 12, listen up right here.
I absolutely refuse to bow down to Sharia law.
The China family has given him tens of millions of dollars.
When I sent this material over to our producer, I could hear him laughing in his office. It's legitimately funny. I don't know whether to laugh because it's hilarious or cry because these ads actually generate votes. But there's a much darker side to elections and how political parties win. The dark side is called money. The more money they can generate and spend for a campaign, the more likely it is they will win. Because of this, our team thought it would be awesome to deep dive into campaign financing to better understand how money is generated, who is actually paying these candidates to get elected, and most importantly, why the system is broken. Check it out. I have to say, when researching our previous video about big oil, I thought it would be the hardest video we will ever do. Big oil is a tough nut to crack, but man, was I wrong. Campaign financing is a convoluted web of donations, PACs, and dark money. Untangling that web and trying to understand what the hell is actually going on was a nightmare. But we were able to distill the information down so you can better understand how the world works. So let's start with who the key players are and how the money flows. For sake of simplicity, we have taken the 2020 elections as an example, but all elections, presidential, Senate, House, they all work the same way. Every election will have their candidate and their campaign office, political parties, PACs, SuperPACs, corporate donors, and individual donors. Campaign offices are set up for each candidate for that specific election cycle. They're usually led by a campaign manager, and what's even more crucial is they're separate from the candidate's current office. Like if you're a current sitting president and are running for re-election, then your White House staff is separate from your campaign staff. Political parties are pretty obvious: Democrat, Republican. PACs and Super PACs. PAC stands for Political Action Committee. PACs are basically a way to pool money and resources to support a specific candidate. More on this when we get into how the money flows. Corporate donors are private companies, special interest groups, or labor unions, and individual donors are normal people like you and me that just want to support a campaign. So how does the money flow? So there are many ways money can flow, as you can see on the chart. Basically, money can go from anywhere to anywhere, more or less. Here is where hard money versus soft money comes into play. Hard money is money that's regulated, controlled, and limited by the Federal Elections Committee, whereas soft money is not regulated and has no limits. This is why soft money is sometimes also called dark money. Soft money also has the added issue that the donors themselves might be anonymous, so there's no reporting available. In general, any money that goes directly to a candidate's campaign is considered hard money. It's regulated and capped. Individuals give to campaigns, PACs give to campaigns, or political parties give to campaigns. This is all regulated. So no big issue here. When we started to take a look at the soft money side, we were blown away by, first of all, how much money is actually being spent, and more importantly, how much this soft money is actually influencing the outcome of any given election campaign. So let's say during the 2020 elections, the Democrat and Republican parties spend money on what's called party building activities, basically trying to bring in more party members or run ads specific to hot button issues that pushes their position on that subject. Now, the law does state that this has to be done without coordination with the candidate's campaign office. But who are we kidding here? So money that goes from individual donors to the party, or money that goes from PACs to the party, are also soft money. This money that the parties are spending are not regulated or capped, since party building activities is as vague as you can get. Imagine the size of the loophole. A loophole so big that some experts would say that this influences the outcome of an election more than any hard money can. So, duh. Campaigns and political parties are pushing for their candidate to win. Although some of that money is not regulated, that might not be the end of the world. Where things get super tricky are with corporate donors. Once again, corporate donors are business businesses, special interest groups, and labor unions. Now, by law, they cannot directly fund a PAC or a party. They cannot send money from their corporate bank account and finance a political action. But what they can do, and they do quite well, is influence and pressure their members to give to those PACs. Companies can ask their management or shareholders to give money to PACs. Special interest groups and labor unions can run fundraising campaigns to generate donations from their members and give it to the PAC. And since some of that money is going to the PAC, is going to go to a political party and is being spent with no limitation, the negotiating power of these companies and special interest groups become immeasurable. Come on, guys. There's no free lunch. If they're generating money for a PAC, then they have a say in what policies they want to be pushed. Talking about policy influence. Last but not least, let's talk about SuperPACs. In 2010, there was a Supreme Court case called Citizens United versus the FEC. During the 2008 primary elections, Citizens United came out with a movie called Hillary the Movie, which, if released, would show Hillary Clinton in, let's say, a not so favorable light. The Federal Election Committee blocked the release and was subsequently taken to court. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of Citizens United, stating that free speech must be upheld even during the run-up to an election with no bias. The decision also mentioned that if they block the release because it could be seen as electionism, then it's a slippery slope. Like they would have to also ban media outlets and other channels. It's understandable. If they can't release a movie about Hillary's bad habits, then I can't imagine what MSNBC or Fox would have to do. This Supreme Court ruling paved the way for SuperPACs. SuperPACs are PACs that are independent of any political party. They can fundraise indiscriminately and without limitation and spend their money on any and all issues that they want to communicate, especially during the run-up to an election. And they can do this under the umbrella of free speech. Talk about a carte blanche for propaganda. Now, companies, special interest groups, labor unions, and even foreign companies can transfer money from their corporate account directly into a super PAC and influence people, policy, and of course, elections. There is another massive side effect of money influencing elections. If the more you spend, the more likely it is that you will win an election, then the candidate themselves has to spend time fundraising. It's estimated that anywhere from 25 to 50% of a congressperson's time is spent fundraising, and that number goes up to 67% during election cycles. I mean, what the hell? So basically, I'm donating money to someone so they can win an election, so they can get to Congress, so they can call me up and ask me for more money. Kind of sounds like a damn pyramid scheme. I mean, Bernie Madoff is thinking, damn, I should have run for Congress. Okay, in all seriousness, I can't believe we got through that. Let me catch my breath. If you made it this far, first of all, bravo. It's a hard and very boring topic, but as you can imagine, the repercussions are endless. And second of all, drop us a sub and click that bell. We spend a lot of time researching and distilling these topics for you guys. The least you can do is click that sub button. So the system is fucked up. It allows for any entity, corporate or rich individual, foreign or domestic, to have significant influence over who gets elected, and more importantly, once they are elected, what is expected of them. Once again, there is no free lunch. Why the hell do we let this shit go on? There has to be a better way. That's what our team here at NFE thought. So we started looking at some other countries. How do they regulate campaign financing? Is there something we can learn? So we took a look at Europe. In Europe, the regulations are clearer. All money is hard money. Every cent that is donated and every cent that is spent is reported, tracked, and limited legally. During an election cycle, every political party opens a non-profit entity like an NGO. All money that is donated is funneled into that NGO, and all campaign spending is done through that NGO. The election campaigns also have a fixed time frame, usually about 20 days. So 20 days before the election date, the campaigns start, and they end 24 hours before the election day to allow for what they call a day of silence. Well, that covers the election spending, but what about the media outlets pushing their agenda without the campaign involvement? What about the super PAC loophole? Well, that is regulated as well. The law states that media outlets must maintain a balance of airtime for each candidate. They will have media monitoring in place through the 20-day election cycle, and if any specific media outlet is giving more airtime to a candidate, campaigns will get fined, and a notice will be given to give more airtime to other candidates. Some countries are even more restrictive. In order to defend against foreign interest groups and lobbyists affecting outcomes of elections, some governments just straight up banned campaign financing altogether. The government itself would fund the campaigns equally. So if there are two candidates for an election, the government would give them $20 million each and let them win. Whoever wins, wins. Go. This severely cuts off any corporations or individuals' influence on an election unless they are the ones running for office. I'm not saying these models don't have problems. They do for sure. But when $14 billion is being spent on elections in the US and a shit ton more in dark money, then something needs to change and change now. Thanks for sticking around, guys. See you next week.